Located at the very centers of Southeast Asia, Vietnam has countless natural wonders with diverse and typical cultural hallmarks. It is favorable for the country to increase exchange ties and integrations with nations in the region and the world. ASEAN is an association of Southeast Asian nations that have always concerned, share and closely aligned into a unified bloc on the basis of unity, solidarity and mutual development. Since its accession to ASEAN in 1995, Vietnam has rendered numerous important contributions to growth of the association for the sake of peace, stability and socio-economic development for each country's prosperity as well as that of the region and the entire world. Within the ASEAN region, Vietnam has a strategic positions and is a gateway to other countries via land, fluvial and air routes. Vietnam possesses a vast north-south network of deep seaports, creating favorable conditions for development of maritime economy, especially tourism, service provision and foreign trade. Vietnam is inhabited by its 44 ethnic groups. Many cultural relics as well as natural wonders have been honored and recognized as world cultural and natural heritages such as Hội An, Huế, Holy Mỹ Sơn, Hạ Long Bay, Phong Nha Kẻ Bàng Grotto, etc. by UNESCO. Vietnam is the cradle of unique culture. Most outstanding are ceremonial music of former Huế court, gong space of the Central Highlands, folk duet of Bắc Ninh or Ca Trù singing, which have been recognized as world intangible cultural heritages by UNESCO. Modern tourism and luxurious infrastructure and Vietnam's traditional food always bring about unforgettable joys. Vietnam has been developing a sophisticated social infrastructural system, providing a system of different services in order to meet every demand from local people and international friends when they visit or invest in Vietnam. With a population of about 85 million, Vietnam has a youthful, abundant and resourceful manpower. Today's young generation of Vietnam is an important resource for national construction and development. This is also a key factor for foreign investors to be carefree and confident when doing business in Vietnam. The government and people of Vietnam have mobilized all available resources for economic development, efficiently attracting foreign investments via open mechanisms and policies for a faster and deeper world integration. Vietnam embraces the policy of rapidly developing industrial complexes and high-tech industrial parks with an aim to call for more foreign investment in economic development, maintaining economic growth. Furthermore, Vietnam always encourages export of diversified goods, including goods and services of relatively low turnover, but having large potentials in terms of production and market. In the current agricultural production, household economy plays the key role, and it is now transforming itself from a self-supplying to a market-oriented commodity economy. via development of large-size farms or other economic cooperation forms, resulting in high economic efficiency for farmers. Vietnam's GDP has been at an average growth rate of over 8% in recent years, and it will continue this growth impetus in coming years. Poverty rate, according to international standards, has drastically declined, with about 30 million people having escaped poverty. Human development indexes are substantially improved, and the country has actively contributed to general development of the region and the whole world. The Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, came into being when numerous changes took place in the region and the world. To respond to these challenges, regional countries align into a regional organization to enhance their strength for interests of each member as well as the entire region. Three nations pioneering in forming the Association of Southeast Asian Nations in 1961, ASA for short, forerunner of eventual Association of Southeast Asia Nations, were the Philippines, Malaysia and Thailand. On August the 8th, 1967, at the foreign ministers meeting of 5 countries, namely the Philippines, Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore and Indonesia, held in Bangkok, the Declaration on Establishment of ASEAN was passed. With the motto, One Vision, One Identity, One Community, ASEAN has opened up new cooperative forms suitable to world's development trends, such as establishment of ASEAN AFTA Free Trade Zones, ASEAN ARF Regional Forums, or Hanoi Action Plan, among others, to spur economic growth, social progress, cultural development, increase cooperation for mutual assistance, as well as promote peace, stability and development in the region.
ASEAN is comprised of 10 members, and since establishment until today, ASEAN has been able to promote itself, its image, as a stable and peace regional groupings. And it's successful in forming the ship in these regions has been recognized worldwide. And as you are also aware that now we are entering the ASEAN community in 2015, and prior to that we have the AFTA and the free trade agreements, and also this also paved the way for the significant achievement of ASEAN's economic developments. And also at this moment the ASEAN relation with its dialogue partners is improving year by year. And as you are aware, also the forthcoming ASEAN summit that will be followed by other dialogue partners. This shows the credibility of ASEAN in the international fora as well as in the regional fora.
ASEAN always focuses on regional cooperation based on 3 pillars, being security, social culture, and economic integration. The region has gained greatest economic integration achievements, aiming to build up an ASEAN economic community in 2015, with foundation being an ASEAN free trade area after. Culturally, ASEAN regularly holds numerous cultural and sports exchange activities. It is noteworthy to mention regular sports events such as SEA Games, Para Games, etc., with participation of all member countries. From the above 5 initial members, the association admitted Brunei as an additional member in 1984, and Vietnam on July the 28th, 1995 as its 7th member country. Up to now, ASEAN has 10 members and East Timor as observer and dialogue partners like China, Japan, Republic of Korea, Australia, New Zealand, India, Russia, EU, USA, Canada and UNDP. With more than 4.5 million square kilometers in area and a population of about 580 million, the association has engrossed a GDP of 1,281 billion US dollars and maintain a total export turnover of around 750 billion US dollars. The region possesses rich natural resources and is listed as the leading one in supply of basic raw materials such as rice, sugar, crude oil, etc. Among them, tin and vegetable oil account for 90% of world outputs. ASEAN industry is being rapidly developed, especially in sectors like garment and textile, electronic goods manufacturing, oil and gas, and consumer goods production for export. However, economic development level varies among ASEAN members, with a large difference in GDP per capita, with Myanmar having the lowest one of about $200 US per annum. Meanwhile, Singapore, the nation having smallest land area, and Brunei, having the smallest population, have highest GDP per capita of over $30,000 US per annum. Thanks to our economic policy, ASEAN foreign trade has swiftly developed, increasing by almost fivefold in the last 20 years to be posted at over 750 billion US dollars compared to 160 billion US dollars in early 1990s. ASEAN has more and more investment capital from the world with an average yearly growth rate of over 20% in recent years. After more than 4 decades, ASEAN has gained important development milestones. The Kuala Lumpur Declaration, introduced in December 1971, established a zone of peace, freedom and neutrality in Southeast Asia, ZOFAN. At the first ASEAN Summit held in Bali, Indonesia, from the 23rd to 24th of February 1976, heads of ASEAN governments inked 2 important documents, namely Treaty of Amity and Cooperation in Southeast Asia, abbreviated as Bali Treaty, confirming their 5 principles of peaceful coexistence, and Declaration on ASEAN Harmony, committing for coordination in ensuring regional stability as well as increased economic and cultural cooperation and mutual assistance among ASEAN member countries. Also at this conference, the ASEAN Secretariat was formed with its headquarters based in Jakarta, Indonesia. Up to now, after 16 summits and numerous conferences with participation of other nations, ASEAN has inked many agreements for cooperation in multifaceted fields, especially in economics, signed the Economic Community Draft, and agreed on an early completion of the draft for a political community, security and social culture. The bloc has developed cooperative ties with major economies like Australia, China, India, Japan, Republic of Korea and New Zealand, and signed the Proclamation on the East Asia Summit, EAS, as a forum for dialogue and cooperation on major mutually interested political, security, economic, cultural and social issues. ASEAN has got 10 member countries now. It has become a cooperative forum for not only economic and commercial, but a forum for political, security and national defense. ASEAN has gradually developed and broadened its influence to other countries, including Korea, China and Japan, becoming an ASEAN plus 3 dialogue channel. There are also other dialogue countries such as Australia, New Zealand and India. The USA, Canada, Russia and EU members have also become ASEAN dialogue partners. ASEAN has become a center area for alignment and development of Asia, and the association will further affirm its importance in Asia. ASEAN member countries are striving to build the association in a strong community in politics and security and economics. They have also agreed to further accelerate regional cooperation and alignment in order to form the ASEAN community scheduled for 2015, and at the same time continue increasing ties with outside partners and enhancing its roles as key driving force for peace, cooperation and development in the region. For its part, Vietnam has rendered many important contributions to development, orientation planning and policy making for ASEAN since its accession in 1995. Particularly in 2010, in assuming ASEAN presidency, Vietnam has played an important role in putting forth cooperative orientations and activities for the association throughout the year, mainly focusing on priorities such as promoting ASEAN unity and cooperation, accelerating regional alignment in order to materialize the objective of building the ASEAN community, broadening and further consolidating multifaceted cooperative ties between the association and various partners, etc.
I have been observed at witnessing how Vietnam has been successfully made use of this opportunity, and the success of Vietnam is our success, because Vietnam has been successfully chairing the 16th summit, and from vision to actions, and so many things has been achieved, and Indonesia will be the chair next year. So this year we have been following closely what has been doing by the Vietnams, what the achievement of Vietnam. We have been following closely since we are going to be the chair next year. So we will, of course, not only learning from Vietnam, but we will also try to improve what has been achieved by the Vietnams, of course, by cooperation with the Vietnam's authority.
Support for promotion of the land and people of Vietnam has also received due attention in order to highlight the image of the country and the independent, friendly and cooperative foreign policies with all countries. Vietnam has identified the main theme for 2010 as towards the ASEAN communities from vision to action, to continue close coordination with other member countries in obtaining a number of goals set by the association. Primarily, specific action should be passed to accelerate effective implementation of the programs and plans to build the 3 pillars for the ASEAN community and work plan for the second phase to ensure the establishment of the ASEAN community in 2015 according to schedule. Vietnam will continue implementing the Charter, complete new organizational mechanism, improve ASEAN activity format, etc. And at the same time, it will continue strengthening ties with outside partners with focus on prioritized fields like post-crisis economic recovery, cooperation to respond to global issues like climate change, natural disasters, epidemics, energy securities and food, etc. Furthermore, Vietnam also coordinates with other member countries in promoting ASEAN international role and position at different institutions, regional and international forums such as APEC, ASEAN, United Nations, G20, etc. Vietnam is creative and very dynamic in carrying out ASEAN activities. Particularly during this year, when the country assumed ASEAN presidency, Vietnam has done a lot for consolidation of our bloc, which has been reflected by successful hosting of the 16th ASEAN Summit and very recently the 43rd AMM or the 17th ARF. At present, Vietnam is striving to prepare for the 17th ASEAN Summit. I am confident that with Vietnam's creativeness, dynamism and accumulated experiences, the coming 17th ASEAN Summit will be a success. In order to get itself prepared for assuming ASEAN presidency in 2010, Vietnam already increased its participation in ASEAN activities, accelerating multifaceted cooperation within the bloc and with outside partners. Vietnam has successfully fulfilled the roles of Deputy Chairman of the ASEAN Regional Forum ARF, Chairman of the Task Force for Development Gap Narrowing IAI, Coordinator for Success of ASEAN-Canada External Relations. Active participation in implementation of the Charter and the roadmap to build the ASEAN community during 2009 clearly demonstrated Vietnam's role and responsibility, which became one of preconditions for Vietnam to assume the ASEAN presidency in 2010. Entering the year of ASEAN presidency, Vietnam has ensured favorable conditions and security for all activities, high-level conferences, especially grand success of the 16th ASEAN Summit. Since becoming an official member of the Great ASEAN family 15 years ago, Vietnam has rapidly integrated itself with active participation and important contributions to maintaining unity and consensus within the association. Similarly, the 15th participation and integration in ASEAN has brought about immense benefit for achievements of our country's development goals. ASEAN has become a regional organization with multifaceted cooperation and close alignment, an important role and position in the international arena. In the new phase, Vietnam will join hands with other member countries in building a further closely aligned and greater ASEAN towards an ASEAN community in 2015. Particularly with the mission of assuming ASEAN presidency 2010, Vietnam is actively and responsibly trying to materialize the objectives of building an active community and putting the ASEAN Charter into practice. It could be affirmed that throughout those years, since its admission to ASEAN, Vietnam has put forth many initiatives and actively contributed to the building of a peaceful, united, friendly and developed ASEAN community. Assuming ASEAN presidency 2010, the government and people of Vietnam have made utmost effort in preparatory work to successfully host the 16th ASEAN Summit, as well as a series of other sideline activities contributing to maintaining peace, stability and socio-economic development acceleration in the region and the world over.